Style. All right, let's get some tree climbing tips in there, like apparel. What kind of, you? I know you always just like to wear tight shirts. Why?
Wear what? Tight shirts.
Tight shirts.
What? Because I look sexy in tight shirts.
No, it's so they didn't get grabbed on by the branches. Come on.
Right? Yeah, you don't want to be getting grabbed on and your rope and carabiners all stuffed up in your shirt. So yeah, keep everything kind of more form fitting.
And talk about the Las Sportivas, man.
Las Sportivas, yeah, right. Yeah, it's like running Blizzaks on your plow truck, right?
Right?
So it's like night and day. You know,
I couldn't even walk in the damn things. You felt like you were like walking in space boots. There was no give in the ankles. You know, I know that's what you were that you like that, but it was like you didn't need spikes. All you needed was like a quarter inch of a nub for the tip of the shoe to rest in, and you were up, right? I mean that's the idea, right?
right? Yeah, I mean, it's like such a stable platform. You know, like you always felt so stable. Like it's very flat sole with the build up arches in there, and just
They held the hooks okay, right?
hooks. Yeah, they were cool hooks.
And did they have steel shanks too, or
I don't know if it's steel, but it's definitely rigid.
so
It's got a really rigid sole to it.
yeah, because like I can't really climb on spikes. Last time I did it, my feet ached for 2 years, man.
Yeah, that's one of the problems. You know, if people aren't comfortable, do you want to work? If you're not comfortable, you want to work in pain. You know, you go out and get yourself a pair of Texas steers or whatever they sell at Walmart, man. You're gonna be in pain all day. Like, how efficient can you be if your mind is just focused on, oh my god, my fucking feet hurt.
And like if you're in the hooks long enough, you're gonna get grumpy up there.
Right, you're gonna get grumpy, you're gonna get cranky, start making mistakes.
There it is. Wisdom, brothers.
Right, it's the little things that matter.
Damn right,
You
bro.
know,
They all add up too, man. All of it, man.
every little thing.
That is so true. But you gotta be operating at a different level before you can't you're good enough at the little things for them to really add up to much. You know what I mean? I remember when you first started climbing with me, I kept looking up like, how the is this guy so fast? He doesn't really look like he's doing anything too spectacular. And yeah, you were foot locking and you were single line, whatever you were doing way before most people were and all that. But it just I didn't realize it was just like every little there was no wasted motions at all. It was all what I mean. It was the most efficient. It's like I like tell them the tip about where to set the block up when you're setting your block.
About where to set the block up.
Yeah.
Right. It's always good to set a block up where it's going to be the last cut you're going to make.
The topping cut. Right.
Well, the last top cut you're going to make is, it might be a factor maybe like a foot off, but you're going to get there and go, damn, I wish I would have tied it here. Now you're untying it. Now you're tying it here or maybe here where it was or wherever. But always think about this is where it's going to be. This is where it's going to be facing. This is where I want it to be. When I end up making my last cut, I'm making my last cut at that block in that position. I'm not going to reach high. I'm not going to change it. I'm not going to move anything.
Right, and so then obviously you rig out the whole bottom of the tree until you're ready to make that topping cut, and then the block is set. You don't have to move it that one extra time, saving you whatever 2-3 minutes, whatever it takes. Yep, that's a perfect lesson right there as far as just operating with efficiency.
All right. Kind of like when you prune a tree, where's your rope go? The last spot I'm going to prune.
Right.
I'm going to follow my rope down to the very last spot of that tree that I decide that's where I'm going to finish the tree at. That's going to be the last part of that tree I prune. Or, you always follow your tail.
So
you don't want to be, I'm going to pull my rope up and throw it here. I'm going to pull my rope up and throw it here. I'm going to pull it up and throw it here. All this, that's a workout, man. We only got so much in us in a day.
All right.
Every time you do that, you're just wasting, you're wasting fuel in the gas tank.
I always said that, and that's a safety issue as far as I'm concerned, because at the end of the day, that's when you run out of steam. That's when your mind's not working straight. That's when you're rushing to try to finish a job because you're, running behind. You're late for dinner or whatever, and that's when mistakes get made. It's a safety issue, man. Saving every second and every ounce of energy you can out there.
Right.
All right,
How'd that go when Daniel Murphy wants to still trim some more trees and it's 9:30 and the sun went down?
that's when the Zen.
We're gonna go deadwood that motherfucker. We're trying to hit that perfect crotch up there with a throw ball by the moonlight.
That's where the Zen of it comes in. You gotta feel. You gotta feel where that deadwood is. Because you sure
know
shit.
where the deadwood hides.
You can't see it.
Right? Where are the branches gonna die at?
All right. You want to tell the one about the balance tie-off point when you're working on looking for a balance tie-off on a big branch?
Right. God always put a branch there.
God always puts a branch there, right?
Right.
Is that live and dead or mostly just live? I think the balance point changes a lot between live and deadwood, man.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah. I guess between live and sure, it's definitely between live and dead. Absolutely. You gotta trust your instincts.
All right. So just so I can repeat this for the guys on the listening, right? If you're looking for the balance point on a major branch, usually there's going to be another side lead there, like a little limb or some other. There's
right. That can be a sucker. That can be a sizable little offshoot coming out.
Exactly. And now, do you like to tie behind that or in front of it?
Me, I'm gonna go behind it because I always want everything just always err on the side of being tip heavy.
Slightly a little tip heavy. That's my
always
thing too.
Heavy,
yeah. Yep. And, I got
it. The balance point is what gives you the control. That's where you can get in there and you can make your fancy snap cut, or you can make you make a notch and a back cut, and then you can move out of the way. Everything's good. You tell your ground man, let her rip potato chip, and he's now got the control. You're out of the way. Branch comes over, nice and slow, easy, and
it just sits there and floats.
It'll just sit there and just kind of float, just hang out there.
Comes down to the ground. The guys can turn it around with one finger, push it right around.
Right, they can spin around, throw it right in the chipper, butt in, and go.
I mean, you did see the video I made. That's like the tutorial on that, right? You saw that video. Remember that one?
A while ago.
Yeah, a while ago. But I just for anybody that's listening out there, I learned Mark Chisholm talked about that technique and made one or two cuts at some climbing seminar, maybe in 2002, maybe. But it wasn't until I actually worked with the man right here in front of the camera, Mr. Big John Grier, and saw how he manipulated those branches with time to that balance point over and over and over again, that it really got clear to me exactly what was going on. It was more of just kind of a nebulous concept out there that I kind of understood when I saw Chisholm do it that one time, and then working with you for however many years that was part-time, man, it just became clear this is the way to go.
That reminded me of a time when I was cutting down, I don't know, 30-foot birch trees on the side of the hill. I had this great big huge oak tree and a big rope set up out there, and I'm just down in my throw ball, man. I'd set that throw ball up in that birch tree right in the middle of the tree where I was supposed to be on the balance point. And I'd be tying them suckers off on the ground and roping them out of the high crotch, and I'm cutting off whole trees from the ground. And Jim Ward comes out and, what the fuck are you doing? I said, I'm tying them off at the balance point. He says, well, how do you know where the balance point is? I said, it's my fucking job to know. That's what you paid me for. And I whack that sucker off, and that tree just comes over real nice and easy on the balance point. The ground guys grab it and right onto the chipper, and he had, I guess the whole day on that job. And we finished it up by like 9 o'clock, and I took a nap in the chipper and hung out in the truck and slept the rest of the day. And then he gets mad at me. Why didn't you call me? Let me know you were finished. So you had all day on the job. So I work harder and smarter, and I take time for me.
Right?
Right.
It's a tough man to keep happy, right?
Right. Maybe you're gonna bust my balls tomorrow and work me even harder tomorrow. I don't know.
Yep.
So give the guys a break.
I remember doing that years ago when there was a bunch of azaleas. I forget what kind of trees we were taking down, but they were like, it was big trees, but there was a bunch of like medium-sized trees. And I just walk up there, what I was just guessing for the balance point, cut them at the base, right? And without doing any lifting at all, that base lifts up right over the azaleas as the tips come down, and the whole thing's sitting there floating. It's a 40-foot tree. The thing's hanging like 15 feet in the air, and it's a beautiful thing. It was a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
Quite sure I must have learned from you, but maybe I was even before you, and I was just kind of made that up on the spot. Trying to think what are some other nice tricks out there.
Good tricks. Wow.
How about you using a throw line on these big tulips in the backyard trees, going out to the front yard,
Right.
from that throw ball over the house, like right over the tree,
Right.
and then like working it down into a crotch, like from like, oh, that was crazy, dude.
Oh yeah.
You remember that? You remember that job, right?
Oh yeah. Walk out one shot over the house, hit a 90-foot crotch from the front yard, and
Yeah.
walking it back and set the rope.
Yep, that was fun. That was cool. And then at the time you taught Pete about paying attention to the climber.
Oh gosh. Right. Yeah, if you're standing 2 feet from the porter ram, and I can make it 20 feet in a tree somewhere and tie it off, but you can't make it 2 feet to the porter ram, and I'm beating you, then hey, I'm cutting. Look out below.
I still remember I was looking up and seeing this limb tied up. Was it a locust maybe? Anyhow,
It could have been.
Yeah, over some azaleas, and that rope, that blue rope had like a 40-foot loop hanging down, or 25, whatever it was,
Mm-hmm.
loop hanging down, and you're like, Pete, grab the rope, and then next thing I know, it's just like that limb's just sailing right to the ground, flat as could be too, and just with this rope, like following it all the way down.
All right, tell Pete, man, fish on, buddy.
But then later on that day, you buried us so deep you had to come down and chip. That was the only time I think you ever came out of the tree to chip for us.
Right.
I just kept like, untie it, get it back up to him. Let's do it.
There's no reason why a climber is faster than your ground guy who's standing 2 feet from the block.
Oh, and tell him about Groundman Training Day.
Oh, with the big stick? Right? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You want to motivate people. You go and you get your 200 out. And you go cut you a nice good stick, something comfortable in the hand. About the size of a Louisville Slugger, and give that a couple good slaps and tell them, you fuck up, you're gonna get it with the big stick. So. Yeah, that always kept them in line.
Would you hit him over the hard head?
If they fuck up, yeah,
right.
I'm getting a good slap over the hard head.
With the big stick.
With the big stick, absolutely.
Yeah, that straightens him right out.
Right. Especially when you start lying to me.
Yeah, tell the story, dude. Tell the story.
Oh, yeah. So I set my saw down and get it filled up, gives it back to me, and as soon as I hang the saw up, the oil cap comes off, oil all down my leg, and the fucking ground guy just looks at me. He's going, no, Jesus. I'm like, no, motherfucker, I saw you fill it up, and I got my stick. Bam! And I tell you what, I'd watch him after that. Every time he grabbed that fucking oil cap, he tried to rip that motherfucker off of there. Make sure that thing is not coming off, because he's not giving me a chainsaw that's going to leak oil everywhere. Like, he would check fuel caps and oil caps after that.
Yes, he would.
It just takes one time. It's like a horse. Just one time,
I know, right? It's like, or a dog, right? Oh, Gabriel, get down, Gabriel, get down, Gabriel, stop, and then, or just kick the dog one time in the chest real hard when he jumps up, and like, you'll learn not to get,
Right. Yeah, you don't nag people about shit. You just fucking tell them flat out once. You gotta be stern with them.
All right, let's talk about Rochi.
What about Rochi?
Anything you want to talk about?
You got that red-headed energy, man. You got the ADHD. You can't compete with that.
He's got a different level, man. He's like...
Yeah, I mean, he's got the speed, the energy, the drive, and then got a lot of smarts,
And the skills, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Tell him about his setup in the basement. His foot-locking practice sessions in the basement.
Oh, him? Yeah, oh, yeah. It just, all you gotta do is be able to get like 2 or 3 steps, it's that first initial You know,
Yeah,
those
just
first couple bites is where it's at.
right.
Yeah, once you get set, get some rope hanging, and everything else is easier from there.
What's the best thing you ever learned from him?
Best thing I learned from Roshi?
Yeah.
Wow, it's a good one. Probably just foot locking. You know?
You were hip thrusting before that?
Huh?
You were hip thrusting
I was a
before
hip
that?
thruster before then. Before I came out and worked with Ward, I was a hip thruster. Man. I didn't do anything when it came to pruning hardly. It was all.
What about the turn or twist?
Oh yeah, turn twist. That's a good knot. Yeah. Can't explain it, but
Yeah, well, we don't need to explain it. It's all ancient history now.
turn
Anyhow,
twist is a good knot.
trying to think what else.
I don't know. I've forgotten a lot about tree work.
Yeah, but you know what? It's not quite like riding a bike, but you get back up there. Takes you a little minute to like things to come to you and all that. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're not like on top of it like you were. My issue right now is like making little small mental errors. I really got to stay on top of it. I'm kind of just getting back into pushing it pretty hard again, and I didn't realize how the brain. You don't realize it. Like your brain is like always working. Like you got the main program. Like how are we gonna tie the next knot off and how are we gonna make this next cut or the next three cuts or whatever. That's the main program. But underneath it all is like, where's this guy doing house? Like everything from how he's raking up to like, are the wheels chalked and what's going to happen if the wheels are cocked like this on the truck. And like, there's just so many million little detail stuff that all related to safety or efficiency that is constantly going through your mind, and it just becomes second nature when you're doing it every day. And then you don't do that shit for a while. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, why didn't I think of that? Why didn't I think of this? Why didn't I think of that? And the bucket truck's rolling down the driveway all by itself with no driver behind the wheel. Did I tell you that one?
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, if your ground guy has time to sit there and stare at you and watch you climb that tree, you're not doing your job.
You're not doing it efficiently, that's for sure.
Right? If they got time to look up and watch you, you're not doing your job. That's when you run out there and just cut off some big motherfucking wood and start throwing some big limbs at them. But normally they got stuff to do, but they like to watch. And that's when you teach them a little lesson and be like, look, if you guys got time to stare at me, then I guess I'm not doing my job. You don't have enough brush to contend with. And that's when you really bury them. And that's how I play the game. You got time to stand around and watch when you actually really have brush on the ground, I'm really going to bury you. You think he's got it bad now. Right? So, yeah, always keep the guys moving. Because if they're not moving, you're not doing your job.
There it is. I think we're going to end it on that one, brother.
You think that's the one? Or what I see people do is if you give them a tool, they don't want to ever set it back down. They want to keep using it.
Such as?
So say somebody's like, hey, send me up a pole saw. And next thing you know, the motherfucker doesn't want to ever put it down. Like, they'll want to, like, do every cut now with a pole saw. Like, what can I get? What can I, like fucking use that thing and throw it away. Like they get this mindset where now they're going to use this tool for, like, everything.
Well, that was one of the first climbers I worked with, man. He'd just get up in the middle of a big maple tree and say, send the pole saw up, and he'd just sit there in the middle of the tree and cut what he could reach from there, maybe reach out and do a couple cuts, but never saw the guy walking to the ends of limbs, never saw him definitely not shooting out there upside down, hanging off his rope, moving a knot with his feet, all that,
Yeah, you never know till you try. I think you and I were in an oak tree one time. You're like, "Give me a pole saw." I need them guys to get a pole saw. I'm like, "You motherfuckers get a pole saw. You're getting the fucking stick." And I'm like, "No, you try to get out there first. Don't say I can't get out there because you didn't even try."
Dude, I remember.
If you don't try, you'll never get out there.
I remember that one time I got stuck on that oak tree, and I'm like, "What do I do now? I can't reach to where I'm going." And you just looked at me like, You should have thought of that before you went out there. Like, like I was too, my rope was coming underneath the branch and I just wouldn't have been able to make it where I needed to go from there. I'm like, yeah, all right, that's true. Come all the way back. And then I got to tell you this, man, probably the best advice I've ever gotten came down out of the tree. And I said, what do you think of my climbing? You said, you need to climb with a little more confidence. And I went home and thought about that. And I'm just like, yeah, just that slight change of attitude. Like I'm gonna attack this tree. I'm gonna, you know what I mean? Like, I got this. I'm gonna go after this thing, not like timidly, And I can't explain it exactly. It's hard to make that clear to people. But if you know, you know. When you climb with that little extra confidence, man, it just changes everything.
Right, yeah, you can't be hesitating, thinking about everything.
Yeah, I forgot about that, man. But I mean, for years and years and years, that was just a crucial piece of information, because I just was like, that was like, it was how I climbed before that day and how I climbed after that day, and they were two different things, man.
Right.
Beautiful.
Yeah, if you're the guy who you're going to get in position, and then you're going to start looking at the tips and looking at the house and looking at the branch and going, wow, is this rope going to hold this? Is this too much weight? Is that going to hit that? Then, then you don't have that confidence. You're not ready to be in the position you're in yet. Then,
Yeah.
So either you're going to get the confidence or you shouldn't be there.
Yeah, but I can tell you, man, YouTube has changed everything because, for a while there, most people were limited by, the whatever, the 5, 10, 15, maybe some guys were with 20 or 30 guys over the course of, a decade or two, like those were the guys that you were going to learn from. You weren't going to do a whole lot that they weren't doing, and, that's why when I ran into you and started working with you, it was like, okay, this is a game changer. Like monkey see, monkey do. And working with Pat all those years afterwards, like I knew exactly what Pat was going to do. And when I was rigging from the bucket or whatever, when I was cutting, Pat knew exactly what I was going to do. Even though we hadn't worked together that much, we both had the same sensei. We both had the same teacher. Both had the same mindset. Both understood exactly what the other person was doing because that's the way we basically do the trees too, which was kind of cool, And knowing that was just, it's all kind of secondhand information coming from the way you rigged your work,
Right. I think there was one day Pat picked up a chainsaw file and brought a chainsaw file over to me, and you're like, "How'd you know he needed a file?" You're like, "I just know. I know he needs a chainsaw file."
Yeah, that's another thing. That's another thing I'll give you credit for. You would never go up a tree with a dull saw. If you were going to make one cut or take 5 big oaks down that day, that saw was going to get sharp before you went up there.
Yeah, always.
Oh, yep, that's a safety issue too. For people don't realize. When you're not cutting with a sharp saw, you're going to take shortcuts and you can get stuck in the middle of a cut that you'd like to finish off before it rips down into your line or something, whatever, that was another important lesson.
Yeah, you can save a lot of time with a sharp saw. And it's even something mentally, when you cut with a dull saw, it gives you a dull attitude. But you got a nice sharp saw, you feel better.
It's true.
It's kind of like, I'm out there driving my shitty, nasty, dirty car. It's all filthy. I go down to car wash and I wash it and I vacuum out and I wipe it all down. Well, son of a bitch, the fucking car goes like 50 miles faster, it feels like, you feel good about it.
Or just going.
Same thing with the chainsaw, man. When the chainsaw is ripping, you're ripping. When the chainsaw is dull, you're like, yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, same thing with like wearing a nice pair of shoes. Dressing up or whatever, going out. Sometimes I had this one pair of shoes, man. Every time I get in this pair of shoes, I just felt like $1 million. It was just strange that a pair of shoes would do that for you. But same thing, same attitude.
I don't know about shoes.
What else? Tell them about the ash. Well, it doesn't really matter anymore. Everybody knows. But go ahead, just tell them about the ash trees.
The ash trees?
Yeah.
What about them?
The root systems.
Oh, the root system on ash trees?
Yeah.
You can't always trust the root system on ash trees, can you?
Tell them the story.
It might look good, but...
This is even before Emerald Ash Borer was around. Tell them the story.
Which story?
Well, you made the cut and you were tied into the other tree and the whole,
Oh, the one where it just dropped out from under me there.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, I roped that whole tree out, a whole entire tree out. Roped that thing off itself, but I was tied into another tree, and I'm just kind of standing on the spar. I'm strapped into. I'm just standing there waiting for someone to go get us a short tag line to pull it over. And next thing you know, she just kind of started wiggling a little bit, you know. And she was probably at least that big a diameter up top where I was sitting. And it just started wiggling around a little bit, and right over she went. Didn't even need a rope on that one.
Like that, after everything had been cut and was
After it was completely roped out, it was just standing there, perfectly level. And next thing you know, she just wiggled a little bit and gone. Just fell right out from underneath it.
what would that feel like?
I don't know.
I mean, that gets down to the point. Like if you're in this business long enough, you're gonna see some strange things happen. I mean, it's guaranteed, man. Like things like, what was that? You know. And sometimes those are good things, and you try to figure them out so you can do them next time. And sometimes there was like, we never want that to happen again. I didn't even tell you this, man. I was up in this tulip tree in the bucket, and I was blowing a big top. It was like a 50, maybe 60-foot top, and I was almost maxed out. I couldn't even reach the first branch in this tree, and it was a forest-grown tree, tall, skinny thing. It had a crack in the bottom of this tree. The decay was running like 12 feet, maybe 15 feet up the side of the trunk of the tree. The bottom was a big black hole in there that the customer said when the wind blew, you could open it up and you could see right through the middle of it. It was, it's kind of I'm guessing it was, 28 inches max, when it was like probably 110, 115 feet, whatever. And the top was locked up in this other branch of another adjacent tulip tree. I don't know how bad it was locked, but it was definitely touching. So I put a tag line in it, and I had it tied to the pickup truck. This landscaper I was doing, it was his job, right? So I had him back. He was driving a Dodge. I said, I'd back him up, like, give me another foot. Give me another foot. And every time I give me a foot, he's driving back a foot. Pretty steep line angle, though. So I don't know how, and I never really got my hand on the rope to feel how much, and I'm just watching how much the tree's moving. And the branches are still, they don't look like locked up. I couldn't, but they were touching, but it was just, and then after about 5 times, give me another foot. I thought to myself, that's it, no more. I'm hoping these touching branches aren't going to stop this tree. I think it's leaning pretty hard towards the hole I want it to go in. I'm going to guess they're just going to be grazing limbs, and it's going to be fine. And then a little breeze started shaking the leaves in the tree that was touching, and all of a sudden, boom, they separated. There was about like a foot between the two branches, and then it was going to catch the lower branch, but by that time, this tree was going to go. So now the tree's, really rotten base. I pulled it back away, and I got to bomb this big top out of there. And when that top went, I thought I was taking the top. Let's say, like I'm trying to take the top to 9 o'clock. Well, my bucket's at 6 o'clock. It's perpendicular, So, and I'm already far away, and I'm going to start moving as soon as the top starts going. So I don't think there was any way I know there's going to be a lot of pushback on those tall, skinny trees as the top starts to go. That base is going to, if the top's going to 9, that base, where the cut's made, it's going to move to 3. But somehow that thing started moving towards me more than to the side of me. I didn't think it was going to come back, man. I did change the direction of the fall a little bit when I was up there, maybe 15 degrees. Maybe that was enough. I don't know. But next thing I know, I'm backing that bucket truck up, and that it just seemed like it just kept coming and it looked like it was. And I wish I had the point of view camera going, but I was out of battery or was out of film. The card was full or something. But man, it looked like it was right over the bucket, and it was like a foot. All I had to drop was a foot. It was going to hit the bucket, And I managed, but it held on at the cut long enough for me to get out of there. But I don't know. I'm trying to figure out why it came back at me and didn't come to the side of me. You know what I mean? It's just like, that's what video really helps you to dissect that stuff. But I got the ground video coming. The guy with the landscaper took the video from the ground. But
that reminds me of one where it was one of those great opportunities where the boss had this great idea, and another one of those ones where great big red oak tree. All it uprooted, came over, leaned up against some other trees, and so he's like, run up here and set up this big snatch block. This is back in the days, we got these big heavy steel snatch blocks, and we'd fucking chain them with fucking truckers chain, And so I ran up there and set this great big high crotch, this false crotch with this big heavy steel block and steel chains, and we had like the oh gosh, back it was like 3/4 inch arborplex.
All right.
So it ran like the big 3/4 inch arborplex up through this block, came down and tied off these big red oak trees, and then the smart idea was we're going to tie it to the pickup truck, and then we're going to cut these trees off, and then we're just going to back the pickup truck up and lower these trees down, right? So I know exactly what's going to go on here. I said, Bruce, get in that truck and put the brakes on. Boss is going to make a cut. So them boys, they start cutting on them red oak trees, and as they cut, man, he just starts rolling out on top of the other trees and coming down. And next thing you know, man, Bruce got the brakes on, that F-250 is just sliding across the lawn. And next thing you know, old Bruce is hanging from a fucking tree. Horns beaming. Oh, man, I love those days. Like, you can see it all playing out before they do it, man, like a fucking, like a Roadrunner cartoon or some shit, And, yeah, sometimes you just gotta let people make mistakes.
Oh, you're good at that.
Right?
You excel at that.
Sometimes you're like, you know what? You're badass, buddy. Well, let's see it. Let's see what you got. Let's see how this works out.
I forget, man. You did something one time. I'm like, why didn't you say something? And you're like, sorry, man. Like, you thought you had it going on. Forget what that was about.
You just gotta let people learn things, If it ain't gonna kill them, then let them learn a lesson.
Well, tell them. Speaking of that, tell them about the time the guy was pulling with a pickup truck and the tree barber chaired on dude.
We're pulling. Oh. So that was like a double liter co-dominant stem, and they went and dropped one big ash tree, big size ash. Cut that one off, and then set a big high tagline in another one, and they want to pull that one over with the pickup truck.
Are they pulling it towards the first one or some other direction?
I would pull from a different direction. So like one went right, and then we're gonna pull the other one to the left, and so yeah, he's out there. He's pulling like a son of a bitch on this ash tree with his pickup truck, and he jumps up there. He makes his face cut, and he's standing on the stump of the other one he just cut off. It was pretty high. It was probably this high, and he started making that back cut, and motherfucker barber chair kicked him and fucking threw him off that stump, and you hear him flying through the air going, yo!
I mean, it sounds funny, but the guy could have been killed, dude. That's the one way to learn a lesson.
He had it coming if he did get killed.
Right?
Oh my God, I can't tell you how many times I've seen that guy almost get killed. Like the one time he wanted to, how was it? It was a Norway